Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie. I'm Stephanie Buckland, your host, and I am super excited and very, very blessed to be talking with Teresa Lisum today. Teresa, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. It's my joy and delight. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this is our second go around. Teresa actually asked me to come into her podcast yesterday. We'll get to that later. But today, we're going to talk about the experience that women are having right now, feeling the urge to step up. I think this is a powerful conversation to be starting today because,
Mhm.
I've actually been feeling that same call. I really have. I have been stepping into my power. I've had my own personal transformation in the last year, and a lot of really powerful things have happened. I published a book at the end of last year. Now I'm working on my
Yay.
third book this year.
Awesome.
And that's
Wow.
almost on at its publishing point. And just watching all these things move forward and thinking how different my life is now. Just because I stepped into my power and I
Hmm.
believe in myself.
Yep.
So I'd love to hear your perspective on, what you're seeing.
Oh, yeah, that makes such a big difference when we believe in ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, this and both you and I, Stephanie, are just passionate about other women, helping other women understand this and step into their power and find their voice and really maybe explore something they were a little afraid to explore in the past. But I really feel that women in general are going to and need to rise up and use their nurturing energy and their heartfelt energy to really take over the world, as I like to say. I mean, it's
Yes.
almost like we've been in the background, for a very, very long time. And now it's really our time to take over and improve the world in general, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And some, like you said, you're feeling it. It's this whole feminine energy thing. I think a lot of things are shifting for women and for men as well. I don't want to exclude them, but I want to, really help other women feel that and take that by the reins and let it guide them and lead them into a really beautiful future where we're all in this together and we're all uplifting each other. So I think it's really important for women such as ourselves to maybe lead by example, lead the way, and inspire other women to again do that exploring because some people aren't quite ready for that, so they're just kind of tiptoeing in, which is how I usually go into things. I tiptoe in. But yeah, it's I'm so delighted that we've connected because I really feel that what we're doing is adding to that, as you say, healing the world. I feel like what I'm doing is contributing to the healing of our world. And other women I want to see other women step into that as well.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and you're in a business, you go into these business development type of groups and conversations, and they're asking, what is your ideal client? When I first started
Hmm.
doing my services, my ideal client was everyone from the ages of 0 to
Yes,
100. And I thought,
exactly.
why not? Of course,
Exactly.
everyone needs healing,
Yep. Yep.
but I was basically forced to choose who my ideal client was. And I really, really had to dive deep and think about it. And it was really my business that taught me who my ideal client was because of who was showing up behind
Mm-hmm.
behind my desk. It was the women. It's women between the ages of 25 and 65 that are all on a journey, and they're all looking for
Mm-hmm.
something. They're all looking for something. Some of them don't
Yes,
know what they're looking for. Some of them
exactly.
know exactly what they're looking for. But for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, it is really women leading the charge in this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it everywhere. A lot of companies, especially coaches and wellness practitioners, have women at their primary. These are who the people we serve. So it just seems like women, even more than men right now, women are just really pushing forward and saying, yes, it's time. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard so many women talking about the patriarchy and talking about capitalism and all these systems that are now breaking down.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're realizing the feminine, the divine feminine, is what's really the energy that's coming in. And it's a very gentle and loving
Mm-hmm.
energy. It's a collaborative energy. It
Yep.
is a very peaceful energy. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come from a place of fighting, it comes from
Correct.
love, and
Mm-hmm.
it brings balance to the
Yes.
masculine. And
Yes.
so, what I'm seeing in the men, though, I'm seeing the men coming into their feminine awakening and
Mm-hmm.
realizing their softness and,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
their love energy. It's so beautiful
It
to
is.
watch all of this.
It is beautiful. And it's going to be easier for some men than for others. They might come into a kicking and screaming.
Yes. Yes, especially the ones that are holding on to their masculinity so
Yes,
tightly.
yes,
Yes.
yes, for sure. And yeah, it's all about the balance, and it has been out of balance for so long. And it's time for women to come in and help create that balance. We don't want to dominate as like maybe the male energy is dominated for so long. We just want to bring it back into a balance because we all, like you said, we both genders have male and female energy, within us. And it's all about the balance, bringing everything into balance.
For
If
sure.
other
For
women
sure.
can hear us, maybe they don't understand what they're feeling. And so just watching us talk about this can maybe give them a way of understanding it more for themselves and maybe articulating it for themselves and to others.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and there's a lot of different ways to come at that. So, I think some people, particularly women in the 90s, started to accept that we had to step into a role of masculinity in order to compete in the world and be a
Mm-hmm,
part of the corporate
mm-hmm,
world. I myself did the exact same thing. I stepped into my masculine energy. I think I was like 19 years old working for
mm.
corporate America.
Wow.
And I learned very quickly, I was in computers. I had to be in competition
Mm-hmm.
with the men.
Right.
And in order
Right.
for them to see me as their equal, I had to step up and be as masculine, if
Mm-hmm.
not more,
Yep.
in that energy of aggression and grr that it wasn't naturally me. I'm a Libra.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a softie. Like, I was faking it. It was a mask that I
Yes.
wore.
Yes. Yep.
Now it got really comfortable, and I wore it for a very long time. And I realize now that, in some cases, having that mask of playing in the world of men really did serve me. And in other cases, it actually kind of took me in a direction that was not exactly in alignment with my truth.
Mm,
And
mm.
so I think a lot of people can relate to this concept as well because, we do wear masks.
Oh
We
yeah.
choose to wear masks. Sometimes we feel like we're supposed to wear a mask.
Yep.
And so we go into like a corporate setting or even a family setting or a
Yep.
relationship setting.
Yes.
And we decide as women, we decide that, well, I got to fit this mold.
Oh
So I'm going to
yes.
create myself and fit into this mold, not even realizing that we're stepping away from our truth.
Right.
So I
Right.
think, when we're talking about stepping into our power, that's really what we're talking about is stepping into your truth, who you are as a woman, who you are as a feminine energy on the planet, who you are as a person with superpowers, as you like to say. I love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, and I like that you use the word authentic. Excuse me. Well, I'm going to use the word authentic, but alignment made me think of authentic. Aligning. You're right. We all wear masks for whatever reason. And it's something we kind of learn to do as we go through life. I know I've worn many, 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 many. I almost didn't know who my authentic self was. Like I didn't know. When I was a teacher and educator for a very long time, and when I went to work, I stepped into this role. And then when I was home, I was in another, put on another mask, and like I didn't really merge the two. It took me a really long time to figure out who am I? Who am I really? Because I don't know. I've worn so many masks, so many roles for so long, like I don't really know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And
I'm sure
and
there's
that
a
could be that's where a lot of women are coming from, I think.
right. So there's, I eventually learned it was a process of investigating and learning and growing myself where I finally kind of understood what that means. But you're right, coming into alignment, back center within yourself. And it is a process. Some people it might like happen like that. And other people it takes, 50, 60 years to figure it out.
Yes,
But
and I think that's important to mention. It's not on a time, you don't have a time limit. There's
hmm
no time frame attached to it. It's not like you
right,
have to decide or figure out who you are by the time you're 50.
right,
It's not an important thing. The important thing is that you're doing the inner work. It's,
correct.
you're doing the self-reflection practices and you're really getting to know yourself as a person, as your internal self. I've been
hmm
working with a therapist. I have been going to therapy for most of my adult life. I love therapy, and I'm a very strong proponent for mental health and
mm
definitely going to therapy. My therapist and I have been working on this concept called internal family systems, and
mm
it's fascinating. I ended up my roommate bought me a book. It's called No Bad Parts. Richard Schwartz is the author. I don't know if you could see that.
yeah.
Um, and he was actually the creator of this internal family systems model. So he's a psychotherapist. And he talks all about how we all have these internal parts. And I think what's really cool about this concept is it speaks very much to the masks that we wear.
Mm.
Because we wear masks because we believe we have to protect ourselves from, trauma or
hmm
whatever as a result of our experiences through life. So, anyway, little
Yeah, I
side
mean,
note,
I
fascinating concept.
no, I like that you said masks are a way of protecting ourselves from
We think,
whatever.
yeah, we're afraid of something.
Yeah, like, is it something to really be afraid of, fearful? Like, it could just be a story we've created in our own head, because, that's what we do. We got a lot of
Yeah.
crap going on up here that we really don't need to have, but we create these narratives and these thoughts that aren't even validated or verified, or it's just something we kind of assume and guess and like, oh, maybe he's judging me. Like we don't even know. But yet we
Don't even
stress
ask.
over it. It's the most bizarre thing that we do to ourselves. It's like we're just making crap up and we and we take it as truth in our own head.
Yeah, yeah. But I was total side note, I was listening to a book with my mom on the way home from Colorado. This was about 3 months ago. And I was just listening to the inner dialogue of, the narrator and how much self-torture was going on in the inner dialogue of this person. And I was thinking to myself, like, what on earth? But I mean, this is the truth. This is what we do to ourselves. We do
Yes.
internally,
Yep.
we
Yep.
judge, we condemn, we torture, we self-deprecate. There's so many things that we do
Mm-hmm.
internally that creates that negative energy in our minds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And all that self-judgment makes us think, oh God, I better hide. I don't
Yes.
want people to
Yep.
see me. I gotta hide.
Right.
I don't feel safe here. I can't tell them who I
Mm-hmm.
am. And so for a long, long time, when I wore those masks, it was for that. It was to protect what I thought was weird. I'm a
Right.
strange person. I'm a psychic
Right.
medium. I know energy. I can talk to your higher self. That is very
Mm-hmm.
strange in our society. And it's not something that's easily accepted. So when I started to come into my truth and like see who I was like, oh God, don't tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell anybody. I
Yeah.
can't say it.
Yeah.
I had to be really, really careful. And that was just my limiting belief.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just chatter.
Yeah. Yeah. Those beliefs. Recently I read something from several people about beliefs, what we believe drive, like our life is a reflection of our beliefs. And like
Yep.
I didn't quite get that right initially, and I had to really think on that and process that. I mean, even now you can see I'm a little bit like, but it does make sense, like what you believe about yourself. If you believe, like, oh, I'm just weird, nobody's going to understand me, nobody will accept me, I can't put myself out there, so I put this mask on that's
Hmm.
hiding that part of me that I'm afraid of being judged at. But that's a belief that is determining your choices, your decisions, the path you follow. And I'm talking
Yeah.
you in general, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so I had to accept it as, and this is correct. I think that is really true. And I think that's part of when we say authenticity and being in alignment, and we're changing our beliefs. We can change our beliefs. When I first heard that a
Absolutely.
belief is only something you keep repeating to yourself over and over, that was like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah,
as
which is,
simple as
we
that.
talked yesterday, we talked about affirmations. That's how you replace the beliefs. It's through repetition of those affirmations. And you can actually write affirmations that are directly a reflection of the authentic person you want to be, that you want to reflect to the world, and repeat that same
Yes,
affirmation. And you do
yes,
it every day for, they say 21 days to make a habit. I don't agree. That's not
yeah,
scientific. It's actually 66 days
yeah,
to make a habit. So you do this for 66 days. I promise you, you will have a different frame of mind.
yeah,
It'll
yeah,
change your thought patterns. It'll change how you see yourself. And so I am a strong supporter of doing affirmations because it really does. It makes your brain can change. It's the neuroplasticity of the brain. It's why NLP works because
mm-hmm,
neuroplasticity allows us to change how we think. And what's really interesting, if you look into like neuroscience, super interesting. If there is a repeated habit, a repeated thought, there is actually a line in the brain, in the pattern of the neurons that go back and forth, where there will be like an ingrained line because of the
mm.
repetition.
Oh, I
So
bet.
this is what I'm saying. Neural linguistic programming and neuroplasticity basically says that you can take that and change it and say, I want to make a new line over here that's about positive
Mm-hmm.
energy, and say, I believe in myself, I love myself, I am my true self, and have those words at the top. Now it's easy for me
Right.
because I believe it now. It
Mm-hmm.
took me a long time to get here.
Right.
I
Right.
remember in my 20s how abusive I was
To
internally to
yourself.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh man, I mean, it's definitely a soapbox for me because it's something I really fully believe in, that we can change our beliefs.
Oh my
We
gosh. Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I mean, that's the whole reason that we hire a coach. That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
reason that we work with healers and other practitioners, is because we are looking for something different than what we're experiencing.
Right.
And
Right.
a lot of people, they'll come into a healing practitioner's office, they don't know what they're looking for, but they
Mm-hmm.
know they want something else.
Right. Right. Something different than what they're creating in their own brain. And
Yeah.
they need an outside person to help them. Because if we're trapped in our own brain, in those, there our own, like you said, your internal torture that you're inflicting on yourself, you do need some help jumping out of that rut and going over there and creating a new neural, pathway for yourself. And
Yeah.
and so I applaud you for going to therapy. Some people are kind of maybe ashamed of that. They don't feel
Yeah.
that, it's a sign of weakness if they go outside of themselves to get help. Like, no,
I
Actually, it's a
disagree. I mean, it's
courageous
the same
act,
as
I
hiring a
think.
coach. It's the same as hiring a coach. It's
Yeah.
really, you talk to a therapist, and a lot of times a therapist will give you the clarity that you're looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
It's same with hiring a coach. You talk to a coach,
hmm
a lot of times a coach will give you the clarity you're seeking.
Oh,
It's
yes.
very
Yeah.
similar. It might feel different in the office or the interaction with that person, but the therapy it's just it's something that's accessible. And the thing is, a lot of people are still living in a place where they can't afford luxury services. They can't afford outside of their, day-to-day expenses. But therapy is covered by your insurance. So you could
Good
actually go
point.
get a therapist. And what's really, really cool about coaching is that's also starting to be recognized as a necessary thing and
Really?
will in the next 5 to 10 years will be an
Oh,
option with your insurance company.
that is
So things are
cool.
changing. Things are
Yeah.
changing and moving forward in a place where I love seeing movement forward. I love seeing in healthcare, seeing healthcare waking up to the things that
Mm-hmm.
aren't working and giving people a
Mm-hmm.
chance
Yeah.
to move forward. There's doctors' offices that hire coaches and
Mm.
work with wellness coaches. Like it's movement forward. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
it is. And I totally agree with you. Things are going to be moving in a positive direction at an accelerated rate. I mean, I know a lot of people think like the world is really going to hell in a handbag, is the old saying says, because of what they're seeing. But I totally don't agree with that. I think we're moving in a positive direction that is really going to be so much better for everybody in the entire world. And
Yeah,
I do want to say that when you were talking about changing with the affirmations and repeating, and that can happen at any age. You were talking
oh
about
yeah,
neuroplasticity. There used to be a belief that you can't change after, a certain age. But like that's false now. We now know that
hmm,
you can change at any age. So don't use age as a as a determinant, a deterrent. It's just a bunch of, hooey. That's not true.
yeah,
So and to have a coach, to have a therapist, to have outside resources are going to move you faster through your journey. Like that's what I like to do. I want to move people faster to get to a better version of themselves a lot quicker than it took me. I want younger people, younger generations to really get it a lot faster so that their life can be even better than mine was. So that's
yeah,
that's one of my goals, one of my missions is to really help women, younger women to really just get it a lot quicker and they can change the world a lot faster. It took me way too
exactly.
long to figure this stuff out or to be exposed to it, we'll say. I can't say I've totally
Sure.
figured things out. We never have it fully 100%.
True
Never.
that. Yes.
It's
So
it's all
let's talk a
growing.
little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your podcast, Evolving Women. So when did you get it started? How long have you been doing the
It's
podcast?
been quite a while now. It's been maybe, I want to say 2 years. It's definitely a year and a half. So it's been going longer than I really kind of expected. I didn't know where it was going to go when I started. It was one of those things that I just took a risk. Me and a friend started it, and I didn't know where it was going to go. It's one of those things where you make it up as you go. You don't
Mm-hmm.
really know. I mean, I had a general idea, and the premise behind it was to inspire other women, give other women resources, give them some inspiration by seeing what other women are doing. So that was, part of the idea behind it. And it's been just a joy and delight. I so love, 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 love talking to wonderful women such as yourself. Because my friend who started with me, she kind of dropped out. She was not her thing, but I wanted to keep it going. Like, no, no, I want to keep going with it because I like it so much.
Yeah.
So that's when
Yeah.
I started inviting guest co-hosts on, and I just feel so blessed and so honored to have had these great conversations with so many inspiring women. And I hope it
Beautiful,
inspires
beautiful.
other women once they hear it. Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah. So, where can people find your podcast?
they can find that on YouTube, of course. YouTube is where they're
Okay.
all housed. And I do have a playlist there called Evolving Women. So just
Perfect. Okay.
go, the YouTube channel is under my name. So Teresa Lisum is who you would look for.
Perfect. And we will definitely link that in the description for
Yep,
the
for
notes.
sure. Hmm.
And then how can people reach you? So you do coaching, right?
I do coaching. I said I could talk a whole couple of hours on coaching, but they can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I spend a lot of time there. Um, I will include some links for you to, put with this podcast. I do have a website. It's not real fancy schmancy. It's just really, really basic. But yeah, you can reach out to me that way. You can DM me. Yeah, definitely connect.
Perfect.
I love helping people see their superpowers from a new perspective. And I don't want to take that path because we're probably running out of time, but I don't know how far you want me to go with that, but
Sure, sure. Well, how about this? So I love to ask my guests, so we've got where they can reach you. My last question is a little inspiration. It's Wellness Wednesday. So what would you
mm,
like to say?
oh boy. Um, Trust yourself. Be open to information, resources that are coming to you. I really believe they're coming to you for a reason. People are coming to you for a reason. People are watching this podcast for a reason. They're connected with you for a reason. And that's all divinely orchestrated in my mind. That's one of my superpowers is seeing those divine connections. So just really trust in that and follow those breadcrumbs and don't be afraid to take a risk, push out your comfort zone. That's been my journey is pushing my comfort zone out a little bit of time farther and farther. If you would have had me think that I'd be doing this like 10 years ago, I would have just laughed and said, oh, no, 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 no. So I've gotten to this comfort level because I kept pushing that boundary for myself. So I totally encourage other women or other people watching this to just take the baby steps. Just take a baby step, get a small success under your belt, and see what the next one that's the next opportunity that comes in front of you and say yes to it and then take that next baby step.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you, Teresa. This has been such a delight.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. I've so enjoyed it and I enjoy having conversations with you.
Excellent. Well, we'll have to do it again.
For sure.